Welcome in. I'm so glad you could join us for today's deep dive. If you've been feeling, a bit overwhelmed by all the tech news lately, I want you to just take a breath.
Yeah, absolutely. Settle in, grab a cup of coffee.
Right, because today we are keeping things relaxed. We are setting a nice, slow, steady pace, kind of like your favorite friendly radio show. And our mission today is pretty simple, actually. We are demystifying artificial intelligence, or AI.
And we are throwing out all the confusing technical jargon,
Yeah.
all of it.
Right out the window. Now, to do this, I've brought a real stack of materials for us to go through together. We've got some fascinating research from AARP on what older adults actually want from this technology.
Which is really eye-opening, honestly.
It really is. Plus, we have a University of Michigan study on AI health messages, some very practical safety guides from Age UK, course info from Senior Planet, and some great insights from tech educators like John Saville and Nate B. Jones.
Right, but before we even get into all of that, I want to reassure you right away. AI is not some sci-fi monster coming to take over.
No Terminators today.
Exactly, no Terminators. And it is certainly not a replacement for human thought. It is simply a practical tool. It's designed for your benefit to make your life easier.
Okay, so to understand how to use this tool, we first really need to understand how it thinks, or I guess why it doesn't actually think at all, right?
Right. And to do that, let's look at the mechanics, but without the jargon. John Saville's guide breaks this down perfectly. Think about how human brains learn.
Okay, like when I learned a new skill.
Exactly. We learn by strengthening connections, like physical biological connections called synapses. AI uses a mathematical version of this. The tech world calls it a neural network.
See, okay, wait, stop right there. If it has a neural network, doesn't that mean it is actually thinking and, feeling like us? That sounds very biological.
I know, the name is terrible. It really is. But no, it's not biological at all. It's just math. Think of it as a giant word calculator.
A word calculator. Okay, I like that.
Yeah, and the best analogy for this, for how AI actually writes, is something you probably use on your phone every day: autocomplete.
Oh, right, when I'm texting my grandkids and the phone suggests the next word.
Precisely. AI is just a massive, incredibly complex version of that autocomplete. It doesn't actually understand the words it's writing. It is just predicting the next most probable piece of a word.
They call those pieces tokens, right?
Yeah, tokens. So it's basically just guessing what token should logically come next based on millions of documents it read in the past.
Okay, so going back to John Saville's materials, he has this really great, very specific example of this autocomplete thing in action.
Oh, the sentence completion one.
Yeah. So let's say you ask the AI to complete the sentence. We know each other so well, we even finish each other's sentences. Because statistically, in everyday English, that is the most probable word to come next.
Exactly. The math says sentences is the winner.
But, and this is the brilliant part, if you give the AI a very specific context, like you tell it to complete that exact same phrase, using the lyrics to the Disney movie Frozen, it changes completely.
Because in that specific movie, the characters have a joke where they say, "We finished each other's sandwiches."
Sandwiches, right. So the AI instantly recalculates the probabilities based on the Frozen context, and it predicts sandwiches.
And, the real takeaway for you listening right now is that the AI didn't watch the movie.
Right.
It didn't laugh at the joke. It literally just ran a math equation on those tokens.
Yeah.
Because it's a math-based autocomplete, it has zero emotions. It has no empathy.
Even when it sounds so polite. Because sometimes it's like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it's just predicting that an apology token statistically follows complaint. It doesn't actually care. It has zero actual understanding.
Oh, wow. Okay, so if AI is just this giant autocomplete predicting the next word, I have a big question.
Go for it.
How does it seem to know so much about what I'm asking it? Like, if it's just a word calculator, how does it remember what we're talking about?
Well, here is a really surprising fact from the research. It actually has no memory at all.
Wait, really? None.
None. It is what programmers call stateless. Once it answers your question, it completely forgets the entire conversation. It resets to zero.
Hold on. If it has no memory, how does it carry on a back-and-forth conversation with me without getting totally lost? I mean, I'll ask a follow-up question, and it knows exactly what I mean.
This is where our second big analogy comes in. When you use an AI tool, like, say, Microsoft Copilot, you aren't just talking to the autocomplete calculator. You are interacting with an orchestrator.
Okay, orchestrator, let's lose the jargon.
Right, let's call it the librarian. Think of it as an incredibly fast, very diligent librarian.
Oh, I like the librarian.
Yeah, so before the AI can write its autocomplete answer, this librarian sprints back into the archives. It grabs your past questions, it fetches relevant web searches, it bundles them all up into a nice, neat folder, and it hands them to the AI.
So it provides the context.
Exactly. It hands the context over so the autocomplete actually knows what to predict next.
So the autocomplete has amnesia, but the librarian is standing there holding the transcript of the conversation, saying, here's what you were just talking about.
You nailed it. That librarian function is also why AI can instantly pull up current facts.
Right, like checking the weather or something.
Yeah, Sample gives an example of checking how many subscribers a specific YouTuber has. The base autocomplete doesn't know that. It's just math. But the librarian runs out, checks the web, gets the exact subscriber count, and hands it to the autocomplete to write out the sentence.
That is so helpful. Okay, so we've got our helpful librarian finding the info and our giant autocomplete typing it out.
Right.
But what do we actually do with this? I mean, in our daily lives?
Well, let's look at that AARP study you mentioned earlier.
Yes. The AARP research. They looked at what older Americans actually see value in. And it turns out you all want AI for very practical, real-world jobs.
Pragmatic stuff.
Exactly. Get this, 74% of the older adults surveyed are interested in using AI for translation.
Wow, 74%. That's huge.
Right. And 71% want it for home monitoring or to simplify complex health information.
Which is brilliant, actually. Think about how dense medical paperwork is. You just hand it to the librarian and say, have the autocomplete write this out so a normal person can understand it.
Make it plain English. I love that. But the AARP study also showed what older adults absolutely do not want AI to do.
Oh, this is the best part. Where do they draw the line?
Well, only 34% trust it for pet care.
Understandably.
So just 36% want it for driving assistance.
Yeah, nobody wants a word calculator steering their car.
Exactly. It really sounds like we want AI to handle the tedious paperwork, but we definitely don't want it walking the dog or replacing, an actual human connection.
Which is exactly the right approach. It's an administrative tool. And if you're listening to this and wondering, well, how do I actually learn to use these tools? There are amazing resources out there.
Yes, like Senior Planet.
Right. Organizations like Senior Planet offer free classes specifically designed for older adults. They teach you how to use voice assistants, how to set up fraud alert systems, all that practical stuff. They even have hotlines you can call.
Just a real person you can talk to, taking it step by step. That is so reassuring. So, okay, since we want AI to handle these tedious tasks, I think we really need to talk about why human oversight is still, well, the most important part of the whole equation.
Oh, absolutely. The human in the loop is essential.
I want to bring up that University of Michigan study. It is fascinating. They had 630 older adults review text messages that were written entirely by AI.
And what were the messages supposed to do?
They were designed to get older adults exercising, stand up, move around more.
Okay, good goal.
Right. So these adults did about 50,000 ratings, a massive amount of data. And out of all those messages, only about 5 or 6% were flagged for quality or cultural issues.
Good. The AI actually did a pretty good job writing them.
On the surface, yes, the grammar was perfect. But the really interesting part is why those 5 or 6% were flagged.
Let me guess, they weren't offensive, they were just weird.
Yes, they were completely irrelevant. For example, the AI would write a very cheerful message saying, stand up and stretch while you wait for your morning coffee to brew.
Which is fine, unless you don't drink coffee.
Exactly. Some people hate coffee. Or it would say, put on some music and dance around your living room, to someone who strongly dislikes dancing.
Or maybe someone who physically can't dance because of a knee issue.
Right. So if the librarian doesn't know my specific lifestyle, the autocomplete just gives me useless, generic advice.
That is exactly what happens. It just defaults to the statistical average. Statistically, people drink coffee. But you are not a statistical average. You are an individual. And this brings up a strategy from Nate B. Jones that I just love. He says that when you use AI, your real value is your judgment and taste.
Your judgment and taste.
Yes. John Saville calls AI a super smart intern.
Oh, I've worked with a few of those.
Right. An intern who has read every book in the library, works incredibly fast, but has zero real-world life experience.
So the intern can draft the email to my insurance company or summarize the document, but I am the manager.
You are the boss, always. You have to read what the intern wrote and use your judgment and taste to say, no, that's not right, or that tone is too aggressive.
Which is so important when we talk about safety, too.
Oh, definitely. Age UK has some very strong advice on this. Because this intern is literally just predicting words, it can sometimes just make things up.
What the tech folks call hallucinating, right?
Right, but again, that sounds biological. It's really just a statistical miscalculation. It doesn't know what the truth is, it just knows what words usually look good together.
So it will confidently lie to me.
Very confidently. And that's why scammers use it too. Scammers can use AI to write highly convincing emails that look exactly like they came from your bank.
Oh, that's scary.
It is. But your defense is your judgment. Age UK reminds us never, ever share private banking info or personal medical details with a public AI.
Right. Keep the private stuff private. You don't hand your social security number to the intern.
Exactly. And always verify facts. If you get a scary email, call the bank directly. You are always in control. And honestly, as Age UK points out, using AI is completely optional.
That's a really good point. If you don't want to use it, you don't have to.
It's just a tool. Leave it in the toolbox if you don't need it.
Well, this has been such a great journey today. We've really stripped away the mystery.
We threw out the jargon.
We did. We learned that AI is not a human brain. It's a helpful librarian fetching information and an autocomplete engine just mathematically typing out the most likely response.
It's a tool to simplify tasks, maybe spot fraud, and organize your information.
And you, the listener, are completely in the driver's seat. Your life experience, your judgment, your taste, those are things a computer can never, ever replicate.
Never. You're the boss of the smart intern.
I love that. So, I want to leave you with a final thought today. Something empowering to mull over. Now that you know, AI is just a tireless, lightning-fast research assistant waiting for your instructions.
And not a sci-fi monster.
What long-lost project, maybe a family history or a new hobby, will you finally have the time and the confidence to tackle? Think about it. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.